Thanks so much for being here. Hey, the good news is, if you were expecting Danny, if you didn't read the emails, if you didn't know I was going to be filling in for him this morning, good news is you're going to get out here early. And I can even guarantee it. I have a flight for work that I have to catch at 2, so 11:30, 11:45 at the latest, we're out of here, all right? So you're definitely going to beat the Baptist to the restaurant today, guaranteed. A few things I want to share with you. Hopefully they make an impact on you and they mean as much to you as these things have shaped my life. And I've just been amazed. I don't know if you're in the same place as I am, but I think as you get older, you start to appreciate it more. At a younger age, at least, I wasn't as keen to God's perfect timing. You know, I was so, in my teenage years, I'm all focused on today, what I'm doing today or tonight, but I'm not looking about how anything I do is going to affect my future and all that kind of stuff. But it's amazing now that I'm older and wiser and still not where I need to be, but I'm at least at a place in my life where I can see things happening in my life, my kids' life, people around me, people I care about, and see how the timing is so perfect. And even the bad things, even the bad things that happen in life, the good things that happen in life, once you make it past those storms, you make it through that, the bad things, you look back and you're like, oh man, if it just worked out perfectly. That lesson I learned, those things that happened in my life, how can you not believe that there's some God that's just kind of, making things happen and taking care of everything? And it's just amazing to kind of watch, especially when you have kids. It gives you a different perspective, and you kind of see things in their lives. And Mason had some great things happen this week in her career and her education path, and it's just so cool. I mean, you would think it's just luck, it's just like, just being, they say, in right place at the right time, but we all know in this room, we know and understand that there's a much powerful being, a much powerful God that is just making sure that we're taken care of. We're getting what we need. We're not getting what we want. We get what we need, and He's just so perfect at doing that. And the bad thing about me is my memory is just completely shot. I don't know if it's because I'm such a multitasker. In my work, I just switch back and forth from things, operating several computers and many tasks all day long. And so I feel like my memory is just completely shot. But luckily we have this, Facebook and social media that flashes back, and we're always kind of like, buried in technology. And of course I'm a technology junkie, so, I'm still attached to all that stuff. But thankfully it reminds me of things, that I forget about. And that happened recently with a commencement address to the University of Texas a few years ago that really made an impact on my life, even though I had forgotten about this specific address. So I want to kind of share some of that with you, and then break down a few points that I hope will help you in your walk with Christ, in your leadership with your family, in work, and just kind of help guide you as like these things have kind of helped shape my life. So this was a phenomenal speech, and it's crazy talking about God's timing. I think I'd flown into Los Angeles, and I was driving up north, Akron or something. I know Akron's in Ohio, but I think there's an Akron north in my memory's not that bad. Pretty sure there was an Akron, California, way up north of Simi Valley or something. Anyway, so I was sitting in horrible traffic. If you've ever been in Los Angeles, you know the traffic is just unbelievable. I think Houston's traffic is bad. It's nothing like Los Angeles. It's just crazy. Side point. So it just so happened that I was just kind of hitting scan through the stations, and I came across talk radio, which I normally don't advise, and I think I even kind of mentioned that later. Stay away from talk radio; it'll just make you angry, and you lose your focus. And anyway, but I was bored. I was in traffic. I needed something to occupy my mind, keep me awake, and I stumbled on this station, and I had just started. This guy was playing this speech by Admiral William McRaven. It was a 2014 University of Texas commencement address, and I'm going to share a little bit of it with you. He says, the University of Texas slogan is, "What starts here changes the world." And he says, I have to admit, I kind of like it. What starts here changes the world. Tonight, There are almost 8,000 students graduating from UT. Ask.com says the average American will meet 10,000 people in their lifetime. That's a lot of folks. But if every one of you changed the lives, and this is what I hope to kind of get across to you guys. And sometimes we need just a reminder, a perspective. Bring it back into perspective. If you change the lives of just 10 people over the course of your lifetime, and each one of those people changed the lives of another 10 people, just 10, then in 5 generations, 125 years, that class of 2014, that's what he's saying to them, will have changed the lives of 800 million people. So it's pretty crazy. Like 10 people, all right, I know 10 people. If I can be an influence to them, if I can help them when they're going through something, if I can be a kind word, if I can offer some kindness, some grace, some forgiveness, help them through something to help change their life, to help them make better decisions in the future, if I can just do that with 10 people, and everybody did that, isn't that crazy how you can change the world? We think, we hear people say that, oh yeah, change the world. You got to have a change the world mentality, and you think, oh, it's too overwhelming. I'm just a guy in Tomball, Texas. What am I going to do? But when you think about it like that, 10 people, if we all did that, how different the world would look. So he said, I saw it happen every day in Iraq and Afghanistan. A young Army officer makes a decision to go left instead of right down a road in Baghdad, and 10 soldiers with him are saved from a closed-in ambush. In Kandahar province, Afghanistan, a non-commissioned officer from the female engagement team senses something isn't right and directs an infantry platoon away from a 500-pound IED, saving the lives of dozens of soldiers. Generations were saved by just one decision, by one person. But if you think about it, not only those soldiers were saved by the decisions of one person, but their children, yet unborn, were also saved. And their children's children were saved, and generations, that if that one person leading that group had chosen differently, all that would have been different. But changing the world can happen anywhere, and anyone can do it. So what starts here can indeed change the world, but the question is, what will the world look like after you change it? And he says, well, I'm confident that it will look much better, and he goes on to give 11 amazing lessons that he learned as a Navy SEAL. And if you get a chance to pull it up this week, it's Admiral William McRaven, UT commencement address, and it's powerful. It's just an awesome speech, and he just breaks it down and just kind of shares some great things. We're all called at some point, this is me talking now, I'm going to take credit for this. We're all called upon at some point in our life to do something extraordinary, to change the world, to be a leader. And what I can tell you is that there are no perfect leaders. We should know that. We've seen elections and presidents and congressmen and bosses, and none of them are perfect. They're all flawed. And we all kind of do the best we can. I'm not a perfect leader. I'm not a perfect husband. I'm not a perfect father. One thing that has always stuck with me, my dad used to always say, is if God was going to use somebody perfect, would he use you or me? And I don't want to speak for you guys. There may be some perfect people in here, but I'm just going to go on a limb and think you're kind of in the same boat as me, and you're not perfect either. But the point is that God's going to use you. Just because you make mistakes, just because you have flaws, just because you lose your temper once in a while or you react poorly to certain situations, doesn't mean that God can't use you. Just because you made mistakes in your past, just because you've done some dumb things, doesn't mean. We learned that last week. Pastor gave some great examples of the men of David and Moses and all these flawed people, but they're listed as these fabulous men that we're supposed to kind of model our lives after and our relationship with God, and kind of use them as examples. So if God was going to use somebody perfect, would he use you or me? The answer is no, because we're flawed. I mean, he's going to use us. Everybody's open to being used by God to be a leader, to change the world, to do something extraordinary. There's no better teacher on leadership than Jesus. What made him such an effective leader? Lots of reasons, and that's what I'm going to kind of talk to you about today. First one is identification. I must know who I am. To be a leader, you got to know who you are. All great leaders know their strengths and weaknesses. We're a bundle of both. Leadership is not ignoring one in favor of the other. It's being honest about them. Good leaders don't try to be something they aren't. They know their strengths and they know their weaknesses. And sometimes that's hard, especially in my younger days. I thought I could do it all. I thought everybody needed to be like me. I would try to, in my profession, in my marriage, like my wife, she needs to see things the way I see them. And anybody who's married knows that's pretty much impossible. She's going to make you see things the way she sees them, and that's it, right? But that's a narrow way to look at it. But you start to realize, actually, there was a job I applied for at one point. I was in my mid-30s, and it wasn't like a large company. I would expect something like this out of a large company, but they sent me home with this test, personality test. I was like, oh, God, I hate tests anyway, but, I mean, I was to the point to where I was like, I don't even want this job. If they're going to make me take some stupid test, forget it. I mean, this is ridiculous. I need a job. I need to provide for my family, but I can find something else. I did it, sat down, went through the whole thing, answered all their dumb personality questions, and I'm just like, oh, this is so ridiculous. Why am I doing this? But it opened my mind. It opened my eyes, because what it is they're testing me not to see that I answer the questions right so they'll hire me. If you've been through that, Myers-Briggs, different things, a lot of big corporations, they'll do that now. They're doing that to get an idea of what type of personality you are. And there's science behind it, and people have broken it down, people in certain categories, and then they butt heads with, these certain personalities. And so it's just that, finding the right place in the puzzle to put certain people. And as you grow and as you learn, and if somebody could have told me that at a younger age, that, hey, not everybody needs, if we were all exactly the same, this world would be really boring. But it's crazy to look at see how God has made us all completely different, and we each have our strengths and weaknesses, and where my weaknesses are, someone else is really strong in, and vice versa. And it's amazing to see once you can kind of change your perspective, and you can kind of see how God has created all of us, and made us so diverse, and how we can work together. It's just crazy to kind of see. Jesus had no doubt about his identity. He said, I am the light of the world. I am the Son of God. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life. I am the bread of life. Jesus defines himself 18 times by saying, I am. He didn't let other people define him. He defined himself. If you're going to be a leader, you must know who you are. It's number one. Do you want to be a leader? And then what's stopping you? Are you waiting for someone to ask you to lead? I think I've said this before. I mean, and I tell my kids this from time to time, that sometimes, yes, and I've had this happen to me. People in my career, they have said, hey, Travis, you seem to be good at this. Would you mind taking this and leading this, or taking this promotion and leading this group? And you do. But a lot of times, being a true leader is just seeing an opportunity. If you see that something is, in a business sense, if something's struggling, if there's a weakness in the business, you can either sit back and do the easy thing, and, oh, yeah, the stupid boss, he doesn't know, and they're wasting money. Or, better thing for you in the long run, step up over there, take it on, and say, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to run with this. If I fail, okay, I'll learn from it, and I'll know how to do better next time. So a lot of times in life, in church, in family, it's you're presented with many opportunities throughout your life to just step up and be a leader, and being mature enough to recognize that, and to step into that role and say, okay, I could just back off from situations, just let it kind of fizzle out, but the better thing for you and for everybody involved is to step up. If you've got a situation in your family that's kind of difficult to deal with, the easier thing to do is to run from it, but the manly, the godly thing to do is to step in there and say, okay, I've never dealt with this situation before, I don't know how, but let's pray, let's trust God that we're going to move through this, we're going to make some decisions, and just trust that it's the right decision. If it's not, then we'll adjust and do things differently. But you're always presented with those opportunities, and I challenge you to step out and take them. The second point is clarification. Know what you want to accomplish. You must clarify what God has called you to do with your life. The direction of your life is your choice. This is one that, as media and television and how it has really changed our world, and people are more about entertainment than they are about morality. This one is a tough one. I've seen just in my lifetime how things have gone downhill. That if you don't like the direction you're headed in, it's nobody else's fault. You can sit back and blame everybody else, but if there's a problem, it's in your hands. You want to do something different, or if you've got a problem with where you're at, you got to pick yourself up and do something different. Don't blame everybody else. You've got to. Most of the time, you're in that mess because of some decision you made. There's nothing wrong with that, but identified, okay, I made that bad decision. I'm not going to make that decision again, and I'm going to move forward. I've done that many times. So many times with bills, especially financial things. I mean, that's one of the things that we've just struggled with for so many years about finances, and it's easy to say, oh yeah, just let's go have this nice weekend, or let's go out to dinner, and knowing that we don't really have the money, and then got to feed diapers and formula, and my kids were on this pre-digested formula stuff that was twice as expensive. I don't even get that. They had to have special stuff that cost twice as much, and I don't even know what pre-digested formula is. I mean, some other baby already drink it, and I don't know. But anyway, it was all those expenses. A lot of things that early on in our life and our marriage that finances, money was always an issue. And Hudson and I were talking about that yesterday, and just kind of explaining to him. I remember we were at the gas station and filling up both of our cars, and this man came up to me and said, "Hey, sir, would you mind? I lost my wallet, and I'm just trying to get a little bit of gas so I can get to where I need to go." And I had $20 in my wallet, and so I gave it to him, and he was really shocked. I don't think he was expecting $20. And so it's a lot of good things. And Danny's talked about this before. I don't know what he'll use that money for. He may use it for alcohol. He may use it for whatever. I could tell he was looking around. Hudson told me that he saw him digging around in his floorboard looking for change. I've been there. I told Hudson, I said, I remember days of putting $5 of gas in the car just because that's all I had, and I just could afford to get to where I needed to be to get home or whatever, get to work. And a lot of struggles, a lot of times, but a lot of that was on me. I can't blame somebody else for my poor financial situation that I was in at the time. So don't be clear to understand that if you need to be someplace else, if you're in a rut and you need to make some different decisions, it's not always going to be pleasant, but you're in control of that. You got to be clear about that. You got to have clarification. Nobody's forcing you to serve. Nobody's making you a victim. Nobody's forcing you to serve in the manner you're serving. That doesn't mean that things can't change along the way. I've had so many unexpected changes throughout my life and my career, and again, I come back to God's perfect timing and just seeing how everything has just kind of worked out. Definitely not like, in some place where everything's perfect. That's definitely not the case, but definitely better off. And this is our nightly prayer is, Lord, help us be better people tomorrow than we were today. Help us to be better this week than we were last week. And if we can kind of approach things, more realistically and look at it and change our perspective a little bit and understand that, okay, let's not just bite off more than we can chew. Let's look at it and say, all right, I'm just going to try to be better today. It makes things a lot easier, and that's kind of been my motto for many years in business and my family and my kids and everything that I try to be involved with. I think I talk to a lot of people that throughout work and my career that are very focused is good. They have their career plan. They've got their school. They've got everything laid out. Their 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan. It's great. I think it's great to have a plan. For me, just because of how things worked out for me, I kind of see it like if you're too focused on that, too focused on your plan, you don't leave much room for God to adjust that. There may be opportunities along that path where God's opening up and saying, hey, there's something over here that may take you a little different route. And I think, while a plan is good, it's also good to be open-minded and be in contact with God and be open to opportunities that He may present you. That's happened to me many times, and I wouldn't be where I am today if I had followed the plan that I had, when I was a teenager and said, I'm going to be, I don't even remember what it was. I think when I was a kid, NASA was big when I was a kid, so I wanted to be an astronaut. So, if I would have followed that. Well, I don't know. New president. He's picking up some. He's spending some money on NASA, and apparently we're going to Mars in a couple of decades or so. I don't know, or centuries. I don't know what we'll do. So Jesus knew exactly what God had called him to do. He was a straightforward leader who established clear-cut goals. In John 8, Jesus says, "I know where I came from and I know where I'm going." Jesus had a clear purpose. He knew not only who he was, but what he was trying to do with his life. God has a purpose for your life. If you don't fulfill it, if you've wasted your life. If you do not fulfill it, you were put on this earth to live the purpose God created for you. A leader knows that purpose and pursues it with passion. Third one is motivation. You got to know who you're trying to please. God, your family, and you can't please everybody. Again, if you're married, you know that one. Can't please everybody. Just about the time you get one person happy, you'll take someone else off, and you have to focus on your goals and be motivated. You've got to want it more than you want to breathe. Jesus lived for an audience of one. His whole purpose was to please his heavenly Father. Jesus said it in John 5, "I only try to please the one who sent me." Jesus wasn't trying to win a popularity contest. He just wanted to please God. That's a lesson we have to learn as leaders. You've got to learn not to care about the opinions of others. And that's a tough one. I mean, we all want to fit in. We all want to have friends. We all want to be liked. But when it really comes down to it, does that really matter? Do their opinions matter? You've got to learn to let that go. You've got to focus on God's opinion of what you're doing. Don't pay attention to those who praise you or criticize you. Either one can sidetrack you. Fourth point is collaboration. Work with a group. You'll never lead by yourself. You always do it in the context of a team. All great leaders are great team builders. In fact, if you don't have a team, you're not a leader at all. You're a loner. So the test of leadership is whether anyone is following you. And we've shown the video. It's been a while since we've seen it, but it's a school video of this kid walking down the hallway. He's got his books, his bags, and kids are bumping into him. It's like he's going against the flow, and he's getting really weary, and his stuff's getting heavy, and his books get knocked out of his hand, and he's just like stressed and thinks that it's just weighing down on him. He turns around and sees that there's a whole line of kids behind him following him. And that's a great picture of life. Sometimes we don't realize that there's people watching us and following us, and we're leaders. Sometimes we don't even know it. Collaboration, working with a group. Do you realize that we are presented with leadership opportunities on a daily basis? As parents, we watch our kids and hope that we have instilled some good things throughout all the stupid things that we say and do. When we see a weakness, we need to step up. That's our time to shine, like I said. Story kind of along this point, I was hired several weeks ago by my old boss to come to Carnegie, Pennsylvania. I know you hear me say Carnegie. My wife's thinking it too. She argues with me. It's Carnegie, right? You're wrong. It's Carnegie. It was Andrew Carnegie. Look it up. It's Carnegie Mellon University. It's Carnegie. Don't argue with me. It's true. My boss, Dave Stewart, my old boss, he's vice president of this consulting firm in Carnegie, Pennsylvania. And he hired me to come in as a consultant, so I'm the expert from out of town, right, to solve this problem for them. He's got 175 people working for him, and they've all been working to try to solve this one problem. It's a simple problem in my mind, even though I didn't really know how to solve it. He pays me to come in, and I sit down with them, all the guys. The first young lady, very clear path. She's got her 5 or 10, 20, 50-year plan. Like she wants me to know it. She's telling me all about how much school she's had and her EIT and SIT and all these degrees and where she wants to go and what she's doing. How that relates to what I'm there to solve, I have no idea, but she wants me to know that she's really smart. She's a sweet girl, nothing wrong with that, but okay, so there's one personality, right? All right, next guy, he does not want to be there. And I don't know these people, and I didn't get a chance to really figure out who they are and what was going on. And so, I know sometimes we have things going on in our life, and people don't know that, and we can kind of come across a little rude. We're going through things, and people don't realize that it's nothing personal. I just, I'm frustrated with my wife or, something else or whatever. This guy, I think I maybe just interrupted a smoke break. I don't know. He was not happy to be there. And I think he was one of the guys that was tasked with solving this problem, because at one point I said, well, there should be a way to do that this way. No, there's not. I've tried it. And he's just frustrated to be there. Like, okay, there's another guy. How am I going to deal with him? Next guy, clueless, completely clueless. I don't even know why he was there. He was an older guy, really nice. I enjoyed talking to him. I have no idea what his purpose was. He should have been off making money for the company, because he wasn't doing any good in our little meeting. Next guy, I don't remember. He was just a blah guy. He was just there. I don't even remember him saying anything. And then the guy directly to my left, asking a bunch of questions. He was new there. He was clueless, didn't know anything. A lot of the questions he was asking were questions that he should know if he's in a role that he's in, but he's asking questions. So I'm impressed with this guy. All these other people are, disgruntled guy wants to tell me how smart she is, girl, and all these different people. Like, it doesn't really matter to me. That's great. I'm not here to make friends. I'll be nice, but I'm here to solve a problem. So they all leave the room. And I dig into it. 2 minutes later, I solved the problem. I honestly didn't know how. I knew I'd read. I'm a big technology guy, so I knew there was a way to solve the problem that they needed solved, but I didn't actually know how to do it. So turns out, some software that I had, some free open source software, didn't have to spend $10,000. Come to find out later, they had like $15,000 software package that they had just bought that did the very thing they were trying to do. But I sit down 2 minutes, I take it, I do it, and I say, okay, well, what's the problem here? Well, all these people saying it can't be done, there's no way, and they've been working on this thing for 2 weeks, and they couldn't solve it. So the guy, the clueless guy sitting next to me, he had left, he went to get his laptop and came back in, stayed in all day. Everybody else, they left, they were whatever. But this guy sat next to me and just wanted to pick my brain. He's asking questions. He's saying, oh yeah, well, we have this software, $15,000 software. Oh, really? Thanks for telling me. I could have had it in 30 seconds instead of 2 minutes. Yeah, this software will do exactly what you need to do. Okay, let's sit down and figure out how to do it. Like in my mind, I'm thinking, why didn't somebody step up and just like Google? We have Google now. I didn't have that when I was a kid. You want to figure out how to do something, you don't even ask, you don't pay a consultant to come in for sure from another state. You just look it up on Google, and that's kind of what I did. I looked it up, and there's a video shows you how exactly to do it. Like, I got paid $700 by these guys for me to, just look it up on YouTube. Like, I didn't tell them that, but but the point is that the guy next to me, he was clueless, but he stuck around. He took that opportunity to say, okay, we've got this guy who knows what he's doing, and he's going to teach us. So I'm going to ask questions. And the one that was better off, that after that day was over, wasn't the girl that had the many years of, the college degrees and was super, super smart. It wasn't the guy who said, oh, it can't be done. When, matter of fact, and after we went through it and found this solution, 2 solutions for him, then we went back and I had a little more time, and I said, okay, you were saying this. It was kind of, honestly, it was a little prideful and arrogant on my part. I was like, I got to prove him wrong. So I spent some time, and I went through the software. Yeah, it can be done, and I feel better about myself today for putting somebody else down. But it's getting back to the point of collaboration, and just identifying opportunities, identifying different personalities. If you have somebody, I used to be the same way. I was very arrogant in my younger days. I thought I knew it all. If somebody came in and they were some expert, I would just spend my time laughing or making fun or whatever, and not taking that opportunity to ask questions and learn the things that I didn't know. And I wish somebody could have just slapped me around a little bit back then and said, look, hey, you get a lot further faster if you just listen. Surround yourself by talented, like-minded people and ask questions. Nobody that ever comes up to me now, a younger generation, and asks me questions, they don't annoy me. I love that. I love to share what I do. I wish I had that opportunity when I was younger. And so if you're young and you're interested in a career path, or you're interested in ministry or whatever, I would find somebody that you look up to and whatever that is, and I would just like leech, get as much information as you possibly can. It'll get you so much further, so much faster. I work in film and entertainment, my job, and it's crazy to see how some of these things come together. I talk about collaboration. A lot of times I don't know where I'm going, or what I'm going to be working on, or who I'm working with, what the project is, until I fly in the night before or fly in the morning of. Phil Barker's in California right now, working on a job for me because I'm here. And we didn't find out till last night exactly what's going on. But it's funny that once we get all together on location, sometimes there'll be like 500 people, and everybody it just kind of like all comes together, and it's crazy. You would think like something like that would be planned out months ahead of time. It just doesn't always happen. But to see that it comes together like within hours, and there's equipment and cranes and lighting and all kinds of stuff, and everybody just does their job, it's amazing to see. It's really impressive. Jesus never did ministry alone. Mark 3:14 says, he appointed 12, designating them apostles, that they might be with him and that he might send them out to preach. Jesus enlisted other people to serve the cause with him. When you are presented with a challenging situation and no one is stepping up to lead, that's your opportunity. Step up and make it happen, and rely on those around you to help accomplish the goal. Fifth point, concentration. Focus on what is important. Leaders must have focus. As a parent, as a husband, as a wife, as a manager, you've got to stay focused. There are so many distractions in life and technology and social media, and even in business. I mean, if I can get so distracted in my early days of the business that I own now, I was so like distracted sometimes by, I should get a drone. That would be a cool toy to have, and let me see how to make money with a drone. And I crashed it several times and lost my GoPro, and I never really found a way to make money doing it, so it was just kind of waste. It was a distraction from where I needed to be focused on. So life is filled with things that will distract you from what's important. Sometimes we can be distracted by good things as well. Jesus was a master of concentration. He focused his life like a laser. He refused to be distracted. Luke 9:51 says, as the time drew near for his return to heaven, he moved steadily onward toward Jerusalem with an iron will. He headed toward Jerusalem to die on the cross for us. He did it with an iron will. He would not let anything distract him from what was important. Your life has incredible potential, but that potential won't be realized until you decide what's really important. Settle on what's most important, and God will use your life like you can never imagine. 6-point meditation. Listen to God. Make listening to God a habit of your life. Jesus did. Prayer was a regular thing in his life. The Bible tells us in Mark 1:35, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. If Jesus needed to get alone and listen to God, don't you think that we need to as well? You need quiet times to reflect, renew, and recharge. You need time to just get alone, be quiet, and listen to God. Even if it's in the car on the way to work, or I go for a walk in the morning. I'm self-employed, so I can do that after the kids are gone and stuff. I'll go for a walk, and I mean, honestly, just kind of a personal thing. The prayer that I pray with my kids at night and in front of my wife is a different prayer than what I pray alone by myself. Because what I'm praying, the conversation I'm having God in my own private world is a lot more real. It's a lot more genuine. Not saying that my prayer with my kids and my family at night isn't, but it's, sometimes like people are listening, I want to say the right thing, I want to do the right thing, but when it's just between me and God, that's when you know that it's real. So I know I've said that before, but I would challenge you to just take a couple minutes on your way to work, or, if you walk, or lunch break, or whatever, just take a couple minutes to just say, hey, God, just start with the Lord's Prayer. Say your version of the Lord's Prayer. God, help me get through this day. Help me to resist temptation. Help me to give me what I need to make it through the day. And you'll be surprised at how, we're talking about focus and perspective, you'll be surprised how that can just kind of reset your day and say, okay, I'm thinking about what's important today. Help me be an example to somebody I come in contact, to everybody I come in contact today. Help me make a change. Help me to make an impression on 10 people and change the world a little bit at a time. And if you do that on a daily basis, I think that's why that's there in the Scripture, for us to say that prayer. And it's like Pastor Danny has talked about. It's a daily prayer, but it's worded to where it's not one you pray at the end of the day. It's obviously one that you should pray in the morning, and I think that there's a reason for that. It kind of gets us focused back on what's important. So number 7, last point, take time to recharge. I love this one. Leadership is draining. It's hard work. We all need time to just relax. Jesus encouraged his very busy disciples to take some time for relaxation. Mark 6:31 says, crowds of people were coming and going so that they did not even have time to eat. He, Jesus, said to them, to the disciples, come away by yourselves and we will go to a lonely place to get some rest. Jesus realized the disciples had been busy serving and they were tired. They needed a break. So he told them to get away and rest. Rest is so important that God put in the 10 Commandments. The 4th commandment says this: every 7th day you take a day off. It's so true. I mean, we can get so caught up, and I know being self-employed, I struggle with that all the time because I've got people waiting on me and my employees and contractors, and it's hard to even relax knowing that I've got things that people are waiting on. But if I don't, I get weary. I get to where I'm not even productive anymore because I'm so bogged down and just tired mentally and physically. And I think in ministry, we've seen it in church. We've seen it where, people will come and they'll want to do something, teach or work around the church. And if we overload them and just pile and stuff on top of them, before long they get burnt out. And everybody just needs rest. And, it's crazy to think how many just simple, common sense things there are in the Bible as that. Just, hey, don't overdo it. Make sure you take time to reset, to relax, to get some rest. So that being the last point, stand with me. Your leadership is a key ingredient to helping your family, your church, your job become what God has called it to be. In fact, the Bible says in Proverbs 11:14, without wise leadership, a nation is in trouble. That's true of every single area of life. Learn about leadership, not from our president, not from politicians, but from Jesus. We have no better guide. Like the video said, I know we played this video we played today. We just played it a few weeks ago, but I felt like it was a great one to go along with what I wanted to talk to you guys about. You were made for something great. Each and every single one of you, your kids, your family, you were all made for something great. And it's up to you to do something with that. It's up to you to make a difference. It's up to you to, if you're in a bad spot in life, it's up to you to pick yourself up and do something great. Lord, we just thank you for each and every person here today and each and every person watching on YouTube. We thank you for this church. We thank you for our friends, our family, our loved ones. We thank you for your grace and your forgiveness. We thank you for the many blessings that you've given us on a daily basis, some that we don't even recognize until we get through the challenging points in our life. Help us to be more mindful of everybody around us this week. Help us to make a difference. Help us to be a good example to everybody we come in contact with throughout the week and from here on out. Forgive us for when we don't. Forgive us for when we're focused on our own selfish things. We just love you and we trust you and completely. Be with us this week. In Jesus' name, amen.